Hey, it's Sam with a quick forecast for the week of December 3rd. The moon is going to go from Cancer into Libra this week. It's going to start Monday, and for most of Tuesday, you might as well say Monday and Tuesday, the moon will be in Cancer, which is about connecting to the heart and finding the truth in our emotions, finding the truth that's deeper than just our emotional state. That's what Cancer is about, the sign of selfless love, where we want to love unconditionally. So in relationships, it can be good for reestablishing that bond of sensitivity, but it can also lead to a lot of sort of like emotional longing at times, because it's really the sign of sort of selfless love, and relationships have more to do with the conditional love. But we need to, in many ways, look deeper than just our wants and desires, and in many ways Cancer can be that sign. But it's really good for just general devotion and things like that, Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, moon is mainly in Leo, and this is about more personal power, pride, and accomplishment, strength. It's good for business, career, things like that on Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday, Saturday, the moon is mainly in Virgo. Now this is ruled by Mercury, which has more of an intellectual bent to it, and it's good for communication, organizing, managing the details, getting every detail straight. Be careful not to worry too much, though, about all the details that you can't manage. And then on Sunday, the moon goes into Libra, where it's going to be joined Saturn and Venus. We now have Saturn-Venus conjunction in Libra. For half of this week, though, we also have Mercury in Libra. Mercury had gone retrograde back into Libra from Scorpio. It turned direct November 26th, which was this past week. And that Mercury moving forward now is going back into going back into Scorpio on Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we still have Saturn, Venus, and Mercury in Libra. So again, that's a lot of energy in Libra now, which doesn't include the debilitated sun. So there's a lot of cleaning up of our relationships, certainly romantic relationships, but just our interactions with others. The pressure feels off now a little bit. When we had this eclipse cycle and the sun was eclipsed there, it was pretty heavy. It feels lighter now, and where we can make some adjustments in our relationships and things like that, not as heavy as it was for a few weeks, especially now that Mercury's not retrograde anymore. Mercury is direct again for the full week. Mercury started last week retrograde, but Sun, Venus, Mercury in Libra, at least for half the week, really brings a lot of emphasis on understanding and being able to speak a little more clearly and communicate a little more clearly about maybe what's happened in the previous couple weeks, you might say. But then Thursday, Mercury goes back into Scorpio, so we can expect some of this intense, potentially sort of confusing relating style and communication style again as Mercury goes back into Scorpio. It's not the easiest sign for Scorpio. The easiest sign for Mercury. And, it's not just because we might not speak as clearly as we want, but we might not understand what we want to say as well, or we might not understand or be as flexible as we like. Because that's what we speak. We're speaking, and we're communicating what we're feeling and what we're receiving and things like that. And when Mercury's in Scorpio, there can tend to be more emotional charge behind how we process everything, instead of processing things in a way that takes into account all positions. Like maybe we got our feelings hurt, but perhaps the person didn't really mean it that way, or so we don't get so extreme about it when Mercury's in Scorpio or Cancer or Pisces. We tend to just go right to the emotional part, and Mercury is our discrimination. It's really the story we're telling ourselves. Mercury is like the story in our head, you might say. And what is that story? What is the story you're telling yourself? So you look at the sign Mercury is in, and this is like the story you're telling yourself. Like in your birth chart, Mercury is in Leo. The story you're telling yourself is that, I'm powerful, and there's all this good that I can do, and this is the story of Mercury in Leo. Mercury, like let's say in Scorpio, the story is, I'm going to be careful because I'm vulnerable, and oh yeah, this shows where I might be vulnerable, and that's the story. So like if that's in the natal chart, if that's in the sky, when Mercury goes back into Libra, the story is a little more flexible. So we've maybe felt that a little bit the last week as Mercury went retrograde back into Libra. So this is a big shift that happens this week. Notice after Thursday how the story might become a little more dramatic again. It might be a little harder to change the story, no matter where your Mercury is. But if your Mercury is, let's say, in a water sign or in a fire sign, which is elements that Mercury doesn't do as well, it's harder to change the story emotionally. Which means, or I should say, the story is less dramatic when it's in those other signs. Like when it's in an earth sign, it's more practical, it's a little slower. It's like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't mean that. Just because I feel that doesn't mean it means that. If it's in an air sign Mercury and an air sign, let's say in your natal chart or even in the sky, there's a little more speed, there's more variety, there's more flexibility, it's lighter. So that's why Mercury's debilitated in a water sign, because we tend to blur the details, we blur our options. It's good to have options. It's good to remember that maybe this emotion in my head is not exactly what I think it is in the most extreme. So when it's Scorpio, it's not just watery, but it's that kind of potentially kind of maybe like dark fantasy, dark projection as well. This vulnerable, scared projection, vulnerable, scared story as well. So be careful of that. Be careful of blowing things out of proportion. You know, exaggerating your words, exaggerating your conclusions, and then like speaking that and bringing that out. Because it's just like when Mercury's in Pisces, then the story's like, oh, it'll all work out. No reason to like pay attention to the details. The money will all just work out. Why am I so broke all the time? You know, kind of like that. So Mercury's really important about making adjustments. And that story in your head is Mercury. So Wednesday, up until Wednesday, Moon is in Libra, then it goes into Scorpio again. So be careful after Wednesday, and then for the next few weeks, not to get so into the dark part of the story. Mercury then goes into Sagittarius, again, which is a fire sign. So this section of the zodiac is not so great for Mercury. It goes from, you know, Scorpio, Sagittarius. It's not the easiest place for Mercury to go. Same way with Pisces, Aries, and also Cancer, Leo. Where you have the fire-water junction is where Mercury energy gets a little tricky, and we can exaggerate, get irritated, get too emotional in what we speak, and it's just confusing for people. So be aware of that this week. Beyond that, like I said, the moon goes from Cancer to Libra this week, and it's a good time to really, you know, notice by the beginning of the week how much like selfless love is there, and the willingness and the desire to really care selflessly. And then by the weekend, relationships are about that sort of transactional love. That's about the agreement. It's about equality. It's about honoring the other person's wishes equal to your own, and things like that. And the issues in Libra are about respect, mutual respect, how much we're respected, and consequently how much respect we give the others. Because often when we don't feel respected, we can be disrespectful as well. So it's a very tricky thing. So feel that by the end of the week, when the moon goes into Libra on Sunday, but feel that transit of the moon through Cancer, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, moon in Leo, Friday, Saturday, moon in Virgo, and then Sunday, moon in Libra, join Venus and Saturn. So have a good week, and leave me some comments. A lot of people are going to see this, you know, thousands of people. Leave me a comment, share it with your friends. It really helps. You know, I do these things for free, but I like to get some feedback from you, and I'd also like you to share it with people if you benefited from it. You know, send it to some friends, post it on your Facebook or Twitter, and let some people know.